Hey guys, it's Cece, and today I am here to talk about all of my favorite things from December. My favorites videos just include me talking about anything that I thought was a great thing that I did, or read, or heard, or saw in the month of December, so let's just jump in and get started so I can talk about all of my favorite things. My favorite book that I read in the month of December was definitely More Than This by Patrick Ness. This is a science fiction book with a gay main character. It begins with our main character dying and it goes on from there. It is really fantastic and in-depth and just interesting. It is so different from so many things that I've read while also doing some very specific tropes that I really appreciated how they were used. I was reading a review of this book recently and it was pointed out to me that Patrick Ness is just excellent at pacing. He knows how to pace a book to keep you interested. He knows when things need to be happening and when they can be more mellow. He does it masterfully in every book that I've read by him, and that definitely also happens in this book. He knows how to pace. This book was just fantastic. The main character, Seth, was a person that I deeply identified with on multiple occasions, and overall the story was original and interesting and different, and clearly I loved it. The Bookstagramer that I want to talk about today is Elisa from Swept Away by Books, and the reason that her pictures were some of my favorite in December were that they were just so cozy. I appreciate Instagrams that get all seasonal. Mine of course does. I think it can be hard depending on where you take your pictures not to let the seasons get involved, and I just appreciated so much how wintry this person's Bookstagram got. It made me feel good about winter. It's the cozy, happy version of winter where I get to stay inside and read when it's cold instead of going outside. Her pictures are beautiful, and in general, I just really appreciated following her in December. As usual, I have 3 favorite videos that I want to talk about today, and the first of those videos is actually a series of videos. December marks when Vlogmas happens, and I really appreciate watching some people do Vlogmas. I think it can be a ton of fun, but the person whose Vlogmas I watched the most in December was easily Miss Fender. Elena Fender, I watch her main channel. I think that she is funny and fantastic, but I have been getting more and more into watching her vlogs, and she did her Vlogmas on her vlog channel, Miss Elena, and it was just so much fun. Her and her boyfriend went on a couple of different vacations in December. Every day they opened their advent calendars. In general, they are just such fun, enthusiastic people that I smile every time I watch their videos. Besides that, they remind me deeply of a couple of friends that I have, and so especially at the beginning of the month when I wasn't with those friends and I was missing them, it was a little weird to watch some of these videos because they just reminded me a lot of these friends. But I think that they did a great Vlogmas, and Elena remains one of my favorite YouTubers, so of course I had to enjoy her vlogs. I also loved R.I.P. Vine, a song that featured Thomas Sanders. It was done by Paint on his channel. It was fantastic. It had like everything I loved, this video. I have been watching Paint's channel for a long time. In fact, he's one of the people who inspired me to start writing sort of silly songs, which I do on occasion still. But of course, we recently lost the Vine platform, which is where Thomas Sanders is that's what he's famous for, and so because Vine ended, he did a parody song with Paint to the tune of Agony from Into the Woods. Agony is my favorite song from Into the Woods, and it was hysterical. I love both of the people in the video. I loved the song they were covering. I loved the new song they wrote to cover the song. In general, everything about it was fantastic. And the last video that I want to talk about is 3 Christmas party looks by Helen Anderson. I think that I've talked about Helen more and more on this channel just because I've started watching her more and more. She did a lookbook for 3 different Christmas party outfits that you could possibly want to wear. It was so atmospheric, and it was just great. I loved the aesthetic of the video in general, and I loved all of her outfits. It was fun to see her put to use some of the outfits that she's been talking about in hauls and stuff, so I definitely enjoyed this one. As far as TV goes, the thing that I have to talk about is the Sense8 Christmas special. Sense8 is a Netflix original series. It is about these 8 different people all around the world, and they become connected within their minds in certain ways, to the point that they can start experiencing one another's lives. The first season takes a little bit to get started, but then I think once you get into the meat of it, and all of the characters begin to interact, it becomes so fantastic. It's also an incredibly diverse show, and they put that to really good use, in my opinion. But the Christmas special. Okay, so the Christmas special was actually 2 hours long, and I didn't know that until I clicked play, and then I had 2 new hours of Sense8. There were multiple really wonderful things about this episode that made me cry, but one of the things that defines the Sense8s is that when they were all born at the same moment, and they took their first breath together as one. And so there is a scene in the Christmas special in which every single Sense8 in this cluster is celebrating around the world at the same time their birthday. It was joyful and it was wonderful in each separate bit. It was just everything that I have wanted this show to be. I cried for a lot more reasons than that because Sense8, ever since a couple of the last episodes of season 1, Sense8 just gets me really emotional. So I loved this new addition, and I cannot wait for season 2. In my movie list, I generally list 1 new to me movie and 1 rewatch. I'm kind of doing that, but I'm also kind of cheating because I decide the format, so one of the new to me movies that I watched in December that I really enjoyed was, of course, Rogue One. The new Star Wars movie, like, obviously I had to go see the new Star Wars movie. I didn't enjoy it nearly as much as I loved The Force Awakens. I think that The Force Awakens is always just going to have sort of a special place in my heart, but I did rewatch A New Hope almost immediately before going to see Rogue One, and I think that that was a really interesting way to do things. I loved Cassian. I think he was fantastic. I loved a lot of the side characters, and I definitely loved the new droid. I think his name is K2. He was really, really funny. But in general, I just really liked the whole cast of characters, and I liked that this one was a little bit darker than The Force Awakens and had a bit more urgency behind it. I really appreciated that. My go-to vibe is really more positive, which is probably why I enjoyed The Force Awakens more, but in general, I still did really like Rogue One. And for a close second new to me movie, then I have to mention that I finally watched I Love You Man for the first time, and I really enjoyed it. I love everyone in it, so I'm not surprised, but had to mention it because it was a real good time. As far as rewatches, I'm actually going to list a couple really quickly. I rewatched Hairspray at the beginning of December because they did Hairspray live, and I couldn't sit through it. It was just I couldn't sit through it. So the next day we watched Hairspray, the 2007 movie, and it reminded me how deeply passionate I am about Hairspray. Like, I had forgotten the fact that I know all the songs and that for a while I knew a good number of the dances. I was obsessed. It was fun to rewatch it though. I also rewatched Cabin in the Woods, which is always going to be a favorite of mine. I think that it is one of the most creative and original movies that I've seen. I don't really do well with super scary movies. If I'm going to watch a horror movie or watch anything remotely related to horror elements, it either has to be a comedy or it has to be sort of a play on common tropes. That's generally how I enjoy scary movies, and Cabin in the Woods is definitely using all of the horror movie Cabin in the Woods tropes and making it so, so new. It is fantastic. I also rewatched Sky High, which if you ever meet me in real life, will tell you is the best superhero movie that there is. No, Marvel Cinematic Universe doesn't hold a candle to Sky High. Sorry, Sky High's the best. That's just the way that it is. So I have a confession to make about the music that I listened to in December. All of a sudden, I think that I'm blaming Hairspray for this. I got into a really intense musical theater kick. I haven't been in one of those for a long time. I have a musicals playlist on my phone, but I don't listen to it that often. And then all of a sudden, musicals consumed me, and I just listened to my musicals playlist a ton. Don't worry, this list isn't only going to be musical theater songs, but there are a few because, seriously, like Hairspray, The Music Man, Evita, Annie, Wicked, even listening to, like, Buffy music or Star Kid. Any of that, I just listen to a little bit more often than I normally do, and I don't know why, but now you know. So I'm going to talk about the top 5 songs that I was really listening to and enjoying in December. The first of those is actually an album. I mentioned Buffy music. It's only fair to say that I listened to the soundtrack of Once More with Feeling probably 15 plus times within a month. anywhere I went, I would just turn on this album and I'd put it on repeat and I'd just keep listening to it. And I don't know why specifically, except for the fact that I got really re-obsessed with Buffy in November and December. I'll talk more about that later. But if I'm going to list a specific song from Once More with Feeling that I was listening to, it's probably Walk Through Fire. It's such a good song. I love a lot of what they did with Once More with Feeling. I think that it is still the best musical episode of television ever done. It's just really smart, and they didn't use it as a throwaway episode. So much happens in the episode, and I love all of the music, so I listen to it a lot. I have another musical on this list, so we should just get that over with now. I was listening to That's How You Know from Enchanted a bunch because I also rewatched Enchanted in December. Like I said, musicals. I don't know what happened. But of course, That's How You Know is just a really cute song. It's great. I've loved it for a long time, so I don't really know what else to add. I listened to it a lot because I watched the movie, reminded myself how much I love the movie. Now I kind of want to go listen to it again. And watch the scene. That is such a good scene. Okay, no more musicals. The next song that I want to talk about is Wessex Boy by Frank Turner. I love Frank Turner. I don't know if I've mentioned his music in my favorites before, but I love a lot of the songs that he's done. I got a bunch of his music originally from Janelle, and then I've just been like digging more and more into songs that I really like by him. I love the lyrics to this song specifically, but I also really love Frank Turner's voice, and I don't know if I could pick a favorite of all the Frank Turner songs that I listened to. This just happened to be one that I was listening to more of in December. I also was listening to You Told the Drunks I Knew Karate by Zoe Van Goghey a lot. This is kind of a weird song. It's got definitely a very weird sound, but I really like it. I think if you were going to sum up my taste in music, a lot of it would be, it's really weird, but I like it. So this just fits with that trend. It's weird, but I like it. And the last song that I want to mention is Melancholy Astronautic Man by Ali Moss. This is the song I almost definitely originally found when I was listening obsessively to a lot of Doctor Who playlists a few years ago, but it's just come back up again and I've been listening to it. It sounds so very much like 10th Doctor. It just gives that vibe. I always think of 10th Doctor and Rose, probably because they're my favorite, but also just because I think that the song is really applicable to them as characters, especially like mid-season 2, early season 2, when they're just going on adventures together. It just makes me think of Doctor Who, and it makes me think of my faves, so I was listening to this a lot in December, probably because it has been way too long since I've watched Doctor Who. I did watch the Christmas special, but I didn't really like it, and I've just really been missing 10th Doctor stuff, because I love the 10th Doctor. New Funko Pops that I got. Usually I talk about all the Funko Pops that I got. I don't talk about favorites. It's kind of silly for me to move right now because the only Funko Pops I'm going to be talking about are my Scooby-Doo Funko Pops. I got these for Christmas. It was the main Funko Pop item that I asked for. I asked for a couple more, but I was like, if I can't get anything else, if you can only get me 5, then get Scooby-Doo and leave everything else. I will work on that on my own. And Christmas morning, I got my Scooby-Doo Pops. I think that they are all 5 super adorable as a team standing together. I love Scooby-Doo very, very much. On like Christmas Eve, my mom went to the library and she got this DVD of like 13 Scooby-Doo Christmas stories that are just Christmas episodes from all of the various shows, like over time, and we watched a bunch of them, and that was like perfect to me because I love everything about Scooby-Doo and I'm super passionate about it, but it also just set the stage for me to receive these guys. I think Velma is my favorite. I think she's the most well done, but I think as a group they look incredible together. And now on to some random favorites. The first one that I want to mention is something called Buffering the Vampire Slayer. This is a podcast and is 100% the reason why I suddenly got way more re-obsessed with Buffy all over again. Buffering is run by a married couple, Kristen Russo and Jenny Owen Young, and every episode of the podcast they discuss an episode of Buffy. They're going in order and they're going to do one episode for every episode of Buffy. They finished up the first season in December and it was just so much fun. It's made me start re-watching Buffy now so that I can follow along with them. It also is another one of the reasons musicians that I got re-psyched to write my own music, because at the end of every single episode, they write a song recapping that episode, and they are fun and silly and bizarre, but also some of them are really sweet and meaningful, and they got put on iTunes recently, and I'm going to go buy them so that I can listen to them constantly, because they're great songs. I love it. I possibly love it a little bit too much. I kind of want a t-shirt. I've been told that I need to chill a little bit, probably, about buffering the Vampire Slayer, but I don't plan on doing it anytime soon. And if you love buffering, then I highly recommend that you go and listen to the podcast, because it's funny and fantastic. And Kristen Russo is so obsessed with Cordelia that every time they mention her, they have to play like a special Cordelia song all about how much they love Cordelia. It's beautiful. Go listen to it. And the other random item that was a favorite in December was this mug. I got a bunch of mugs for Christmas. I showed those off in my Christmas haul. Obviously, I loved those. Those were a couple of my favorites as well, but I didn't get the chance to mention this mug. My aunt gave me this one. It is a TARDIS. Says Doctor Who, but what's cool about this one is that it's one of those heat mugs where if you put a hot drink inside, the TARDIS right here actually disappears, which is just really fun, and it appeals to me on a very deep Doctor Who loving level. So this was so sweet. My aunt didn't even get it for me for Christmas. She just saw it a few months ago and thought of me and has been keeping it here until I came back for winter break. So definitely appreciated this mug. Okay guys, that is it. That is everything. Those are all of my favorite things for the month of December. What were some of your favorite things in the month of December? What were you listening to or watching or reading or seeing or anything else? Let me know some of those things down below. If you want to comment on any of the stuff that I just mentioned, please do. Always appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in another video very soon. Bye!